Talafalava, and welcome to the Reads with Rosa podcast. I'm so excited to introduce today's guest, actually my first Samoan guest, all the way from my home city, Auckland, New Zealand, Tony Laulu, founder of Digital Discipline New Zealand and author of the Chief Book series. What's up, Tony? Welcome, bro.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really well. How are you?
Oh, bro, I'm all good, eh? Just, it's still early evening here, right? But obviously New Zealand, it's nearly 11 p.m. there, so you must be pretty tired. So I do appreciate this, bro. I appreciate you taking time out.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
I guess just before we get started, I was wondering if you could perhaps just give us a little bit of background on yourself. Who are you?
Yeah,
For our
cool.
audience,
I mean,
I don't want to be telling everyone, man, but from the man himself.
yeah, for sure. First of all, I'm a God-fearing man. I make mistakes, but I think a lot of us, we're on this spiritual journey. And so first and foremost, give props to God for all of the opportunities that I have and yourself as well. So that's a big part of my identity. Secondly, obviously I'm Samoan. My mom and dad are from there, and I was born there, and like a lot of people, moved over when I was young, and grew up in Oneanga, which is about 20 minutes from where I am now. So I grew up there and went to Mags, did all sorts of stuff after that. So that's a little bit about who I am, and I've got two little boys, Sakalia and Lembalia.
Yeah.
And life's good at the moment. Life's really good.
That's awesome, bro. We'll talk about your sons later on as we get into the book. I got a couple of questions for you. But I wanted to ask first off, pandemic in New Zealand. You know what happened was, like, on the weekend, I was watching some videos and people were at a 660 concert. I mean, I was just like, Moses, is there no COVID in New Zealand? I was scared. I was like, yo, I'm coming home, but don't anyone come near me. I'm coming with my mask. Like, bro, is it just New Zealand that are just like carrying on like life is normal and there's no pandemic? What's going on?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's almost distant memory now. Like, I think we had a little lockdown earlier this year. I think it was like a 3-day one, but in terms of like any restrictions, me personally, I haven't felt really locked down per se. Like, I haven't had to wear a mask anywhere or felt like I had to be safe or be careful. So we're just living life as we kind of used to before COVID. So yeah, it's funny you bring it up because I haven't thought about it for a few days. Like, it's just,
that's crazy. I mean, are there people wearing masks out though when you go out shopping or when you're doing your school visits? I mean, are people wearing masks? What about Polyfest and Pacifica Festival? Like, were people wearing masks or not really? It's just...
No, I think a few people have to wear it on public transport, and then outside of that, I think the only people that are wearing masks are people that are doing robberies. So,
bro, I didn't know any of those people. Do you? You're trying to tell us something, bro. Man,
I can't disclose that type of information.
Bro, honestly, I was watching the video and going, far out, look in New Zealand. Like, I mean, here, we're wearing masks like every day. It's like we're going to school every day. Our kids are wearing masks. It's like, it just feels so safe, I guess. And I'm kind of like nervous to come home. We've got summer break coming soon in June. Cool. And so a lot of us are going home for summer. Well, it'll be winter in New Zealand. And I'm afraid. I'm like, should be coming to a place where you don't have to wear a mask coming home and, all that. Crazy.
Cool.
I wanted to ask about digital discipline, right? Because you have, I mean, you're doing work with schools. Basically, you're like teaching or educating, I guess, students, people, young people about taking a more disciplined approach, or maybe adults as well, taking a more disciplined approach to social media usage. Can you tell us how that came about? That because you're the founder of that. So yeah, how did you get into that? I actually read about it, but I thought maybe you could, tell the story. Like,
Yeah, again, it's all glory to God for being able to put these very very timely steps in front of me. So I guess how it all started was it came from my own addiction, and I just was locked into this thing for like hours in a day, and it just went from months and then went on for years. And so it got to a point where it was just impacting like too many parts of my life. And so when I went looking for help, there was nothing really. Ironically, the help that was out there was online. It was like
they're like,
websites.
stay offline, but if you need help, come online.
That's right. That's right. So it was real odd because I wanted to sit down and talk to someone, someone that may have gone through the same thing, or some sort of therapy type thing. Because I mean, if I was addicted to drugs or alcohol or gambling, the type of support services that those people have is just full on. But for little old me that was just addicted to social media or technology, there wasn't really anything. And so, I was just at a point where I just had to help myself really. And so I guess I just over the next year and a half, I just went away and just read everything about it and all the research and data. And I guess it was just trying to understand why I was so attached to this thing, because I understood it was about the time that I was spending on it, but it also felt like it was a lot deeper than that. Like there are these just constant urges to just be on this thing. And so, yeah, it was just a cool little journey of self-discovery and learning about myself and learning why I was so drawn to social media, which is why I was able to sort of help myself out of it and understand, what makes me attracted to social media. And I guess after realizing all of those things, it just put me in a position to just be able to create some solutions for myself, because I couldn't really go cold turkey. A lot of our communication and things that we do in life now is attached to social media,
online,
but it's about balance, and I don't think there's any education around balance. If I was to ask the majority of people what is the standard of being online or screen time, we get mixed answers as to what people think that is and what's appropriate for 0 to 2 year olds and 2 to 5 year olds.
Right.
Nobody's got a real idea. And so I mean that's kind of sort of the backstory of digital discipline. And so I guess with all of this information and research, I started to talk to people about it. And I guess the first step was putting a package out there, or a movement. And so digital discipline was born. And again, ironically, I went on Facebook to create a page for awareness.
Because it's funny, right? I was like, I've been reading, looking up, and then I was like looking through, I was like, where can I find information on this? And then the first hit on the Google is Facebook, and I was like, is that intentional? I was just like, yeah, I hear what you're saying though, right? It's social media these social media apps, it's a platform where you can connect with people from all over, right? So, but I think what was important, what she said was not just about perspective, but balance, right? Is finding that balance. And man, you're so courageous, because I wanted to know, like, when you started talking to people about it, were people kind of looking at you like, yeah, you're a bit crazy? Or do you know what I mean? Were other people kind of like, yo, I've been waiting to share the story, but people, what were some of the responses, I guess, from friends or people that you were like networking with? Like, yeah.
Yeah, it was tough going. I mean, for someone that's pretty much worked a 9 to 5 his whole life, I think I was pretty um, interested in business, but this wasn't a business venture because this was a lot about service and
Yeah.
helping people. And so, the first few people that I shared it with, and it's probably because I couldn't articulate what my vision was in terms of this being some sort of a support network or a home to find some information and guidance. And so, but yeah, the responses were like, "What are you on about? Like,
Like,
this is normal life. Like, we're just on our
wow.
phones. Like, this is just part and parcel of 2019 kind of thing." And I would try and encourage these conversations around and share information like the World Health Organization says that
Right.
between 0 to 2 years old, their recommended screen time is 0. So like, but I
Wow.
guess because it was a God-given project, and for me to not know exactly where to go, it was just one foot in front of the other type of thing. And so slowly, I think things just fell into place where I started to share a few things. I didn't really manage the page properly, but I think people started to see it, or maybe people had shared it. I don't know. But then I think after a while, people were messaging and saying, "Hey, look, I really agree with one of your posts that you talked about. Are you able to come in and talk about that particular topic
Nice.
with our youth?" And I was like, "No, because I don't do workshops, but I'll try. I'll come in and have a chat." But it just went one workshop after the other, and so I had to start creating PowerPoint presentations and activities, and how do I engage, and it started to become a really cool project, and just kind of snowballed from there.
Man, I think it's cool. I know you were saying, you didn't know how to articulate and get your thoughts out, not having any of the training, but doing that research. I mean, that's, if the passion is there and the will to do the grind, like, I think that's all part of the learning curve, right? And like you were saying, even with the managing of the page, right, is like things fall into place, and it's all part of the learning curve, right? And you try things, it doesn't work out, but it's to be expected. And I just think you're so courageous to just put yourself out there like that. But even sharing like your journey of how you even came about with this whole idea. Like, I was wondering about stories. I mean, in terms of like students, because I've seen that you do visit schools now, and you are doing workshops. Like, what are some of the responses from the young people? Some students that you're speaking to. What are their thoughts on it?
Yeah, there's some pretty cool conversations that have happened, and it varies from school to school. I think sometimes when their teachers are present, they don't want to be too open,
Right.
or some sessions I run and their parents are there and they just don't want to really tell me like,
They don't want to
um,
tell the parents going, hey, those ones, eh?
especially when I ask who's active on social media or who has a social media account, they're like,
yes, well, especially when all the aunties and
I don't
uncles
have one.
or the parents got social media accounts. I mean, what is up with that? Wow.
Yeah, that's another topic in itself. The oldies having good old time on social media, but the responses are it varies from like 11 to 12-year-olds have a very different social media experience to that of 16, 17, 18-year-olds. The younger ones are a bit oblivious to what's going on social media, just very unaware of the dangers or the sort of addictive behaviors they can start learning from social media. But the older ones, the interesting thing is they actually know the pretty much everything around the impact of social media. It's just what's missing is no one has ever told them. They already know. They've experienced it or they've heard it. It's just not part and parcel of the school curriculum. And if they do, they like glaze over it, or they focus on more of a reactive stuff like cyberbullying, something that a lot of schools focus on, but they don't really talk about the impact that it has on your sleep, the impact that it has on your self-esteem, the impact that it has on identity and all of that sort of stuff. It always seems to be about online bullying is the focus, and that's a big focus of the experience of a youth. But there's so many other topics that social media does play a part in terms of their online experience.
Right, and even like well-being. I mean, especially, obviously in New Zealand, not much of a pandemic, but especially in the time of COVID, like, just the online presence and lots of things going on online, positive messages, but also very negative, things being promoted out there. And, with social media apps, there are a lot of ads, right? Advertisements that are just popping up and things like that. So algorithms and all that, like, they definitely don't teach that. Like, schools are more concerned. Obviously, cyberbullying, that's a big, it's a real issue. But they're more about digital like citizenship as opposed to like digital literacy, which I know is kind of what you like to focus on, right? That's a big part of the education. But would you want to, like, because talking about curriculum, and are you looking to perhaps speak to some schools or maybe pilot something that could be put into, trialed in a school curriculum? Or, is that something that you'd want to do in the future? Is it like a long-term plan, something in the works, or?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, as this goes on, there's cool little ambitions that I have for this. I think first and foremost is establishing my presence within the schools. And so I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but I have a contract with the Ministry of Education to provide these workshops to schools out south. And so they've seen the work that I do, and so in conjunction with that, as well as I'm partnered with an organization called Moana Research, who's a big Pacific research outfit out here. And so we've gone and collected some data as well through surveys and a few other sort of bits and pieces to try and start to piece together what this story looks like in terms of the impact of social media within Pacific youth or youth in South Auckland. And so I guess from there, having these pieces of data and research, they can then be put into academic journals and whatnot, which eventually will be able to inform policy, which policy in turn can start to influence what schools rules are around device usage or screen time. So in a sense, that's probably one kind of indirect way that I think the schools will be able to take notice. But also, with this Ministry of Education stuff, I've expressed to them my interest. So just have a good relationship with them, who they want to do some work over a couple of years to really to really collect all of this data and understand the true impact that social media has in it. And I think it's a lot deeper than just the amount of time they spend. Like yourself, who's an advocate for culture and identity, social media has the ability to add, to add information or insights to culture, but it also, if you're following everyone else or following a whole bunch of people that distract you from you understanding yourself or your culture or things that are in and around your own community, we start to get pulled, or youth get pulled in different ways as to, this is who I am, or they become real liberal about stuff, or an advocate for stuff that, if they really thought about it, they probably wouldn't. It's just whatever's trending online, people become activists for that, but they do it
Absolutely.
by just sharing stuff, like as if that changes anything. Like, if you're going to be an activist for something, you best like be putting 100% of your effort into it. But see, that's the nature of social media sometimes, that people want to feel like they contribute or add. But look, sharing things, not sure if it's to show people that, yeah, I stand with black people, or yes, I stand for this particular party, or whatnot. It's a nice gesture, but in terms
Yeah.
of what they actually want
Actually,
to do.
I mean, just when you bring that up, a really good example of that is last year when people just started putting black squares, on their Instagram feed. I was just like, how is because people are like, putting a black square, standing in solidarity. I was like, how you can stand in solidarity is support these small businesses, support bookstores owned by BIPOC people, by black people. That's how you can help. That's how you can advocate for them, through that way. What does a black square? I mean, I know there's a lot of debate about it, but yeah, like you said, I think it's very easy to get drawn into, like, this is what's trending. I saw a celebrity do it, so I'm going to do it as well, So I think it's very easy to fall into that kind of trap. I mean, I know some people who do a lot of advocacy, and it is, and educating, and it is through things that they are posting. They have so I like to follow those people because, I feel like, they're not just posting online, but they're really active in their communities as well. Do you know what I mean? So, like, they're actioning, not just, showing, like, because, Instagram, that's what everyone is doing. But yeah, it's a difficult one, right? Really
Yeah,
difficult.
it's touchy only in the sense that if you were to not confront, if you were to address it with someone, we're just in a very triggered time in society where can't really. It's hard to question people's motives.
Yeah.
They just respond really sometimes quite childish in and around this topic. But that's just the monster that has been created online. It's tough to have dialogue. So in the comment section, it's impossible to change anybody's opinion online. I haven't seen anybody change anybody's opinion online. So
Funny you mentioned
good
that.
luck.
It's funny you mentioned that because I remember, like, seeing on your page you wrote, I guess it's a tweet that you put, and your tweet says, you have better odds winning the lotto than trying to change someone's mind or opinion online. No one is going to publicly admit on a thread that they are wrong, so don't even bother going back and forth online. Like, 100, man, that is truth. That's so oath, because that's, the Samoa election has been going on, and there's been a lot. I mean, I didn't have Facebook, I just have Instagram and Twitter, but definitely on Twitter, I'm not going to engage because I'm kind of like not really. I don't really know, like, candidates. I'm not, but it's very interesting the things that pop up on my news feed and timeline, which is just a lot of people arguing about, you're not Samoan enough, you can't speak, you don't live here, be quiet, you're the diaspora, shut up, and it's just, bro, it's like, wow. Look at all the experts. I mean, it's so toxic, it's toxic behavior to the max, man. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you right now, as loving and caring as we are, we're very bipolar. I'll be honest with you. Like, us as a people, like, I think a lot of nationalities, even, like, let's say Asian and Japanese. I spent some time in the Philippines. They live within this, this of anger and happiness. Like it's within these confines. Well, Samoans, man, like
we're like
we're talking.
major. I think everyone's pretty tame, and then the island Samoans are like,
That's
bro.
crazy. But we love the best, and we love the most, and we give the
We
most.
do, but it's just also
But
like,
if it comes to conflict,
I
it's
mean,
crazy.
you know, I haven't been on Facebook for years, but like when I hear like, you know, people talking about Facebook and the drama on there, and then knowing that like aunties and uncles, and I'm just like, yo, I'm so glad I'm not on there, man, because you know, these are people, you know, I don't know. Maybe I was naive. I just never imagined that our aunties and uncles would be on. You know, I never thought that they would love something like Facebook. But someone said, "Oh, this person's on TikTok." I was like, "Aye, yeah, that's overboard." I'm like, why are you on TikTok? Let the kids do their thing. Seriously, man. Oh my God, our people are so funny. Like,
Hard out.
so you do this thing called 828 Sundays. How's that going? I know you share some responses, some comments through your story sometimes I guess people's experiences, and yeah, how is that going? How did that come about? Like, why Sunday? Is 828 your area code friend of I was like 828. I was like 828. Wait, I'm from West Auckland. What area is that?
I think it's Avondale, eh?
Oh, sorry.
Avondale's 828.
Sorry, my bad. Avondale, Dale State.
That's it. 828 Dale State. That's what it is. It just so happened. I mean, I was just really trying to explore some practical solutions for myself, but also people that follow digital discipline, and
right, because
so
you do have a following.
yeah, and so I think one of those, well, that one in particular is quite unique to digital discipline. It's a nice little wedge in everybody's week to just put your phone down and take a break from social media. And most of the time, there isn't anything ever really that urgent that you'd need your phone for that 12 hours, unless you're like running a country or something. Then maybe you might need your phone.
Unless you're Jacinda, you're not Jacinda.
I tell people that, like, I honestly don't know why you're checking your phone every 10 minutes, as if you're running some sort of multi-million-dollar company. Like, bro, just put it down.
It's cryptocurrency, man. Everyone's into Bitcoin. Come on.
And get me started, man. Get me started on that. But look, it's just a nice little break from social media, and it's a chance to just really be present, because we're all living in very busy, fulfilling lives, and so from Monday to Friday or Saturday, it's just all go, and so I find that for Sunday, for me, and probably for a lot of others, Sunday's probably the slower day, and so it's just a chance to just give the phone a break, Yeah. So that's what it is anyway.
So I wanted to get into the book. I get excited.
Awesome. I appreciate you for excited. I appreciate you for supporting. Yeah.
Bro, you know what it was? You know what it like? Okay, so that's my Instagram account is it's Bookstagram. So basically, the whole reason of me setting it up was for my students, not that they're on my page, but was for me to find information about new books, about authors, all of that for my students. And I go back and like, you should, this author's got a new book coming out, or here are some book recommendations. So every opportunity I get to promote, like if I see,
cool.
You know what, bro, I didn't even know. I honestly didn't even know how I came across your page, or maybe, I don't know.
Probably
bro.
Through digital discipline, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was, Like,
I plug myself in there.
Yeah, bro.
I don't promote my own stuff, like.
Boy, bro, there's no shame, man, and that's what I wanted to talk about, because, like, I was just like, yo, there are not many of you, is what I'm saying. So I'm all about like every opportunity. I'm like, yo, I'm just gonna plug these Samoan authors. There are not many of you out there.
Thank you.
or even Pacifica authors. There's just the usual names that come up. But you know, I was just like, why wouldn't I? You know, I promote a lot of like other of, you know, my favorite authors, and especially authors that do book, you know, they do visits to schools and stuff. I love doing that. And I was just like, yo, to see this work that you're doing, you know, back home, bro, it's amazing. Like I said, you're so courageous. I mean, you kind of went out and you know, stepped out, took a leap of faith with your company, and then to put this out, because I saw that your Chief Book series, I guess I want to start there and then I'll get into the book. Chief Book series, it was established in 2020, and I was wondering, was this a project that you had been planning for a long time, like writing, or was it something that came up during the pandemic? Like, how did Chief Book series, or even where does the name come from and how did it come about?
Cool. No, that's
Sorry, I get a bit too excited.
yeah. Well, look, hey, you're the first one who's I've done a few podcasts, but you're the first one that's wanted to talk about the book, only because it's quite a new thing that's kind of been released, and so, you know, I'm excited to tell you this story because
Very good,
I've told
man.
the digital discipline story a few times, but so in preparation to leave or to start digital discipline, I left my full-time job in November last year, and so leading up to November, I felt like it was coming. I felt like the time was right for me to leave, but I think it was around August or September. I was just writing or practicing. I had practiced to write just funding applications.
Right.
And so the first one that I ever wrote was for a language fund, and that was through the Ministry of Pacific Peoples. It was only like $2,000 or $2,500. And so I was just like, okay, I'll fill out this application. The only purpose for me writing this thing is to get some feedback, because I was just not familiar with this funding world or how to get money from different ministries. And so I got to the point in the application where it said, what are you going to use this money for? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I guess I'll write a children's book. just threw it out there. It was just, I don't know, maybe there are some books around. My boys are young, so they got books here. But I sent it in knowing that I would get rejected. But a couple of weeks later, they got back to me and said, well, we're looking forward to your children's book. And I'm like,
no pressure. You gotta get writing.
Where do I start?
I'm writing do you know what I mean? That's why I had to ask, like, was this a project, you know, something you had manifested? Like, what an interesting story. So carry on.
Yeah. So I mean, so I was stuck with, like, that night was like, okay, so I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna try and write something. And this is why I say, like, I'm just grateful that God puts these things in front of me. It's quite humorous sometimes, but so the theme of that story, if you've read the story, I don't know, I think I may have read it to my youngest son, but I read Harry McCleary from Donaldson's Theory.
Right.
And Harry McCleary goes and picks up all his little dog friends.
Right.
and you know,
did your son call you up?
Yeah. And so I guess it follows the same sort of pattern where my boys are, and then so I don't have a very like a creative, in terms of like I don't get much into like superheroes and all of that sort of stuff. I'm pretty just realistic, and so my imagination is only limited to just real life stuff. And so I just wrote about the two people that I know the best, and that's my two boys. And so
I know that's okay. So I want to just jump in there and just be like, bro, like I love it, because hello, the two main characters are your sons. How cool is that? Were your sons excited to see their names in here? I mean, were they like, yo, we're famous, Dad? Like, what? I mean, bro, like, what was their reaction to that?
I think they were. I think they understood, and even when the first couple books were printed and I showed them, it was very cool for them to see themselves, because that's kind of what they look like in real life. So they were happy to see it. But regardless of my expectation of their
Right.
reaction, all I know is when they get older and then around my age, they'll
Right.
understand the
Mm.
how cool that was that their
Right.
dad done that for them. And so whether they understand that now, I don't mind, but I know when they're older, they're like, this guy's the man. He wrote a book.
Right.
Like,
Right. Seriously, because I don't know, like I've a lot of people that have come on the show. I mean, they're my teacher friends, man, like from all over the world. But a lot of the people that I've interviewed, they're just avid readers, and we always talk about representation. Like I'm not lying. Like every interview, this idea of representation and what young people seeing out there, like what are our students in the classroom, what books are they seeing that kind of look, characters that look like them in the movies. We see, do we see actors and actresses that look like us or at least represent our culture and our people, our language? So this is what I love, man. It's I love that you put your sons in there. I mean, why not? They're probably super proud, but just not telling you, and this is like your legacy right here. Like they, for them to be able to see themselves in a book, like kids, not many kids can say, yo, I was in a book, or, usually kids are looking for books and looking for characters that look like them, that speak like them, that do things like them, right? Because it's all about connecting. That's how they learn. So the fact that you did that without any thought and you just did it, I mean, bro, that's awesome. And what I really loved is obviously the illustrations. I think when I read this, it kind of reminded me of like just days when there was no social media, where it was cool to play outside, to play in the yard, to play out on the grass, to play cricket, to do you know what I mean? Like play marbles and all sorts of games you could just play on the lawn and stuff like that, ride bikes and go skating, and it was safe to be able to do that because all your friends are doing it. And the other thing I really love is how first of all, I love that you've got like friends. Their friends are like, it's like different languages, different cultures. Like that really made me think about Auckland. Auckland is such a multicultural society. Here I tell people, man, when I go home, I realize, whoa, I've missed this, just seeing so many cultures around, hearing so many languages. So and I don't know if that was intentional, but I love that you did that. And then again, just picking up each of the friends along the way. I mean, bro, it's so powerful. And even just, I think just being outside is something that a lot of kids these days, whether or not they're getting the opportunity or they're just too caught up on their devices and stuff, like, they're missing out, like a lot of kids are missing out on these cool things that we grew up with, just the joy of just being outside, running around, bare feet on the grass, like, stuff like that, real simple, but memories, bro. So, man, this is so fire, bro. Like, honestly, bro.
thank you. I mean, to add to that point of representation, I think when people read it, and like yourself, especially the adults that read it, they probably do see the theme, but everything's pretty deliberate in there. And then I noticed that I actually enjoyed putting that book together. Like in terms of the story took no more than 2 days to write. That was the easy part. It was all the logistics of publishing a book that was difficult. But my oldest boy, that's kind of how he looks. He's I think a lot of the books that I scan through and sort of like studying what books look like, a lot of the books that have multiple characters, they're all very stick skinny, just very. It just looks like really, really skinny. And so I made sure that my boy, because my oldest boy, he's athletic, but he's not. He's not skinny. He's like a lot of us, just big bone.
That's what's up.
Yeah. The other one was my youngest boy, who has that long curly hair.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even the hair is just the effort. Right. I mean, Oh,
There's
yeah.
there's not many books I think that have characters that have boys with long hair, and so for
Mm,
all the Islander boys that have long hair, I wanted to make sure that they get represented because they see all the books with boys with short hair. But
mm.
in regards to our culture, a lot of boys have long hair and want to be proud about it, but where's the book that reflects my culture? And so
Representation, bro.
that's right.
I tell
Um,
you.
so all the characters actually they're not made up. Like first one is Jesse Huya.
Yeah.
Jessie is my older sister's name, and Huya is my niece's name, who
Mm,
is half Samoan and half Samoan,
mm,
or half Samoan, sorry, half Samoan and half Maori.
mm, mm.
And then Iris is my actual niece, who's half Fiji and half Samoan.
Bro.
And that's why her hair is the way it is, and that's
Yeah.
actually how she looks like in real life too. I needed to represent in a big way in terms of young Polynesian
Yeah.
girls who have
Mm,
that really thick hair
yeah.
because again there isn't many books that represent them like that. So
It's usually like straight here. It's like,
yeah,
ain't nobody got time to be like, actually, today I didn't, but I like my hair, so that's so good. Carry on.
yeah. Damish, he was one of my really good colleagues in my last job.
Mm,
Junjun, I had spent some time in the Philippines, and so that was quite a common
mm.
like a nickname for boys. So I had to honor my time there
Yeah.
through him, and then Samantha's my younger sister's Palangi name. So
Oh, the
it's
Palagi
interesting.
name. I love it.
Uh, so it was crack up putting her at the end because
Yeah.
again like some books that have multiple characters, it seems like it's
Mm.
four Palangi characters and one African American character, or
So right.
so I made sure that this story was the absolute opposite, that
Yeah.
we have all these other ethnicities and the Palangi ones last, not
Yes.
last in the sense that's wrong, but
Right.
we're still going to represent them, but you're not the
Mm.
dominant character in this book. This is about Pacific Islanders and the minority groups, and then but you're
Yes.
still there because we
Yeah.
and then to your last point is because it's a bilingual book and it's meant
Mm.
for Samoan kids, I guess. I wanted to make sure that they understood that they could be friends with
Mm-hmm.
kids from other ethnicities. I
Yeah.
think sometimes when we're just friends with our own kind,
Mm.
it doesn't help us widen our worldview or
Scope of,
just
yeah,
understanding other other
for
other,
real.
other cultures. And I think you
Truth,
living in
man.
Japan and me living in the Philippines and having friends that aren't Samoan
Mm.
really help you understand or appreciate sort of other cultures. But
For
I've
real.
noticed that when I do have family and friends that are just friends with Samoans,
Mm.
the
You're
the vision's
closed-minded.
pretty tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so, like, what were you doing in the Philippines? Were you working over there, or were like
yeah,
you like playing? I don't want to be like stereotyping you. I will
yeah.
not
No, no.
stereotype a brother, but I mean, yeah. What were you doing in the Philippines?
Yeah, once upon a time in a faith I used to be at, I served the mission there for the
Oh,
Mormon faith.
oh yeah. I was gonna. So,
Um,
oh, okay. So you are you Mormon?
no, I am not anymore. No,
Oh, okay. But
no.
okay, cool. So yeah, no,
But
because I
but
know
but at the time,
they
yeah,
go on missions,
um,
and get all over the world, bro. That's mean. Were
so
you?
so I had gone
You
there.
must have been fluent, right? Because you got to learn the
Yeah,
language,
yeah,
Tagalog.
yeah, yeah. Mine was Cebuano, so it
Bro,
wasn't. Yeah.
wait, my lord, bro, man, that's me, bro. That's a life experience, you
Mhm,
know.
mhm.
I'll just
So
carry on.
yeah, no,
No.
I enjoyed putting it together, and
Mm,
I caught a bit of a writing bug, and so I initially thought for the first couple of days, look, I'm gonna put this book together and
right,
get rid of this contract because that was the
right.
obligation that but after realizing all of those themes that we just talked about, I was like, you know
Mm,
what? I actually got heaps of stories to talk about or write about. And so we got a book dropping in about 4 weeks, the week before Samoan Language Week.
okay,
It's
cool,
called Oaole Samoa, and that's
bro. Mean.
I'll send that one to you earlier than everybody else, just so you can have it when everybody gets it here.
Bro, you know I'm
But
gonna
that
be
one,
like blasting. I'm gonna, bro. I have no shame. Like honestly, I'm putting that on blast. Like everyone that's come on the show, I'm like, because I appreciate, man. I appreciate that people are so busy in this day and age that they're like, yo, we got you. We're supporting you, and I appreciate it. And I love, like I said, I love getting these things out there because people need to know that we don't just have 2 or 3 writers that are mentioned all the time. There's someone like yourself. There's Dahlia, who I'm also going to be, Dahlia Malay Ulu, who wrote Tennis Samoa. I mean, it's important, man. People need to know that there are more of you up and coming. And bro, did I miss the memo? I didn't even know there was another book coming out. And now you got me excited. You know what I wanted to say though? I love these little things in the book. Like your son has a 685 whoop whoop t-shirt. I love that Jessie is wearing taonga, right? She's wearing the greenstone. I love the falla. Wait, I'm sure I saw a falla in here. I thought I saw a falla in the house. The mat in the house.
probably Iris.
Yeah, yes. So I love, and then so let me just not be greedy, but show everyone. So there's like the mat, the Samoan mat. I think it's a Samoan mat. The falla on the floor that she is lying on, and then right in the back. I mean, bro, these little things, man. That's what I noticed because before I read the book, I looked at the pictures. I'm one of those, like I'm visual, so I was like, let me check out the illustrations first.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now, the next one. And firstly, I got to give props to Thomas. Thomas is a good friend of mine. We've known each other since we were
shout out.
Yeah, since we were about 5, 6 years old, and yeah, he's my best mate, and he's the one that put that together. But what I was trying to say was the next book, the illustrations on there, I haven't seen them. Like I'll tell you one of them. When I saw it, I had a bit of a moment. Like I'm like, dude, I've never seen an illustration like this. Like he stepped it up a couple notches, and so yeah, you'll be taken back by some of these illustrations because a lot of them, or all of them, are based in Samoa, but it's not like the Samoa that we see through coconut trees and beaches and that. It's like real Samoan. So just have to wait.
I can't wait, bro. I want to ask Chief Book Series, like a Chief Book Series. Where did you get? I mean, like why? Like how did you come up with that name? I mean, like you said, you were kind of like a bit hesitant. You're like, now I got to write a story. But then that worked out. God had other plans for you, my brother. But Chief Book Series, like why that? Like why call it that?
Yeah, I think after I understood that that I was going to be writing more than one book, I wanted to put an umbrella or put a brand behind this, all of these other books that I plan to write, and that needed to come under something. And so I spent another maybe a day or two just drafting out, different names for it. But I think the Chief Book Series came about because from a cultural point of view, the chief has a lot of say. The chief is the one that articulates and tells the rest of the village or family either a story or a direction, or I know we have orators as well, but I guess the chief has a big sort of authoritative, no, I wouldn't say power, but a presence, and so I wanted to adopt that kind of respect or presence within the book industry, I guess, and having a solid name for the books to come. So that's kind of how I landed on that.
Bro, man, it was so funny because when I got this, first I looked at the pictures, then I sat down and read it, and I love that you've got this message. I want to talk about this card that came with it, but you've got because obviously the Samoan version is on the back. For anyone who wants to learn Samoan, do it, man. It's so easy. I love it. I love seeing my language in books. Bro, language is so powerful. But I love that here, I guess when I read this, I was thinking about digital discipline. And, I love that even though you're writing this, that you are able to still get that message across, right? And, you say for the parent, for the educator, like it's super powerful. And it's not, it's like, hey, real talk is what I'm getting at, right? Because you say here, like, for example, from one parent to another, let's put our phones down for longer, let's play with our children more, let's be outside a little longer, let's explore nature more, let's laugh lots, let's prioritize being more connected in real life as much as we are connected online. Whatever is on your phone, I'm sure it can wait. I mean, there's other messages there, but I think it's just real talk. And I feel like instead of, a lot of times it's like, it's beautiful language, people use difficult technical, like adjectives and all this, real metaphorical. But what I liked about that was it was just really straightforward, like, hey, actually, this is what's up, and I think that too often these days people are trying to make these messages more difficult than it has to be. You don't need to do that. So that was fire.
Appreciate it.
I wanted to talk about this because what happened, like I said, I looked at the pictures first, I was like, yo, then I started reading, then I read the Psalm 1, then this fell out. I was like, wait, what's this? And then I think there's this quote at the end, again, straight real talk. You've got this message, you say, remember, you have a purpose in life. Once you find that purpose, you will do amazing things, and it's real personal, from the Chief Book Series family to yours. We are honored. It's just such like personalized but real deep message that I think that anyone who has brought this book will go, yo,
appreciate
it will, it resonates with them because it's just simple but real talk. But this was my favorite part was the quote. I was like, we Mufasa. Bro, it says, remember who you are, Mufasa. And honestly, I was sitting here like, is that Mufasa? Is that Mufasa from Lion King? Was there another Mufasa that I didn't know about? I was like, why that quote? Because, bro, brilliant, man. I was like, this guy, why that quote?
Lion King's got to be my top 3 movies,
okay.
if not my favorite. And when it comes out of the clouds, because I think all of us have experienced that time. We're lost, kind of like Simba, and we need a bit of direction. And sometimes it's those lowest points where either God or God puts people in our path to manifest themselves to say, hey, look, you're all right, and just remember who you are and what you're capable of. And so I guess for whoever picked up that card, whether it's a child or even an adult, hopefully that quote helps in a way that
who doesn't know Lion King, man?
Yeah,
that's all I was like, yo, Lion King, man. Bro.
There's a Lion King type theme, and we can pick this one apart if we chat about the next book. And in the next book, it follows not a similar theme, but there's a moment in the next book where it's just like, oh shit, okay, this is this feels like I've lived these feelings before. And so some of those themes will come from bits and pieces of the Lion King. So
man, bro, it's I find it's just interesting that you were just such this reluctant writer, but look what has come out of it, man. Do you know what I mean? That you are definitely more. I mean, I know you're doing the digital, with your company, you're doing your thing, but that obviously there are other plans for you. There's more. Not everyone can write a book, man. I mean, and just that whole reluctance, and then it's like, okay, but then this came out of it, and then when I saw the company thing, like Chief Books, I was like, yo, there must be more books coming. I was excited because, like I said, man, I have no shame. I love promoting our authors. They're just, we have to support Pacifica authors. There are not many of you out there. And so, I talk about this all the time, that I find, sometimes our people, we are our own worst enemy, and that, like we see someone's like doing something great, and then it's like hating. Do you know what I mean? But we got to, there are not many of us in the world. So no matter what, we have to build and uplift each other and support these things, right? Whether it's through music or creatives or whatever, business ventures, if you're an entrepreneur, like whatever it is, we need to be supporting each other, because there are not many of us in the world. So,
it was crazy. I mean, I've talked to some people about it, and I tell them, look, I got absolutely no business writing these books. Like, I wasn't interested in it. I don't read too many books, but look, I think if God hands you something, he'll provide the resource. And so for the first book, it was I had a friend that done illustrations. I had a person who could do the translations. Shout out to Ida. And then there are just other companies like Spark. If you had seen on the website, who were kind enough to buy 800 copies off me, like off the bat. And so all of these things kind of fell into place. And so it just tells me that, if you are tracking along, then it's all right. But it's also a point that I hope in the future I can reflect and maybe help one or two people with. I think that's our biggest fear, is what people think about ourselves. We don't want people to see us fail or try things. And so a lot of us don't shoot our shot because of that fear of people.
Judgment,
And that's it. And so I think a lot of us go to the grave with all of these cool ideas that we could have done and God wanted us to do, but because we feared man, we just didn't do it. So I guess I'm just out here, just I'm at a age in my life where I just don't really care what people think or say. If it's endorsed by God, then bro, I'll just do it, man. Like,
I hear
people's opinions isn't gonna pay my bills, so.
Straight up, a really good friend just recently said, one of his biggest accomplishments, like outside of family, was just putting his work out there. Just putting it out there, because like you said, a lot of people talk about it and they write things down, but it's that fear. They never get it out there. So just the fact that he, leap of faith and just put it out there, and, a lot of opportunities, came from that. Why not, right? It's just like you said, you just do you, right? And I guess, the other, when we think about social media, we can use our platforms to support and to uplift, people who are doing great things. Like something that really bothers me big time is when people use, our people are the worst, man. When they use and post like maybe a dance or something or singing, but they don't credit the artists of the, they might be singing someone's song. Like, it doesn't take much to tag the person, but the captions of doom that they write, and it's like, oh, how long did it take you to draft that caption? And all you had to, because I think that, everyone, is trying to get their work out there, their passion, their music, or their writing. And like I said, there's not many Samoans in the world compared to other, other culture, other ethnicities. Like, why are we going to be like that? Why don't we go the extra mile, the extra seconds, just to, give props to the person who owns the song, or give props to the artist who created the canvas, or the writer who wrote the book. Like, how does it hurt us? If anything, it just shows the person that you are, that you're, supporting others. Like, I think we need to do more of that. But like you said, do you, man? Oh, I'm excited. I can't wait to see the other book. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh.
I get super excited about books. I can't help it, bro. This is cool. Just, how do you look after yourself, managing your company and then doing the writing? Like, what do you do for you? Like, how do you, self-care, mental health? Like,
I'm pretty easygoing. I'd like to think, During the summer, me and a whole bunch of boys for the last probably decade and a half, usually are at the park playing touch, and it can get up to 20 to 30 people, and so that's a massive part of my
Outlet for
sort of
you.
self-care to be with those boys. But then the other thing is I listen to a lot of podcasts, and that's really stimulating for me to to keep learning about myself and other people's perspectives, and so that, and then I wouldn't say the gym. Like the gym is probably like I try to go maybe 5 times a week. But see, that's not self care.
What did you say?
That's
5
just,
times a week? Did you say 5 times a week? Oh, sorry about it. And you were like, no,
Yeah.
I thought you would be like 2 times a week. I was like, we, bro.
Nah, well,
Yeah.
I eat horrible, so I actually need to go. But that's probably just part and parcel of just living, really. But self care is it's an interesting one. Like it's a cool topic. I mean, yeah, it's probably another day we'll talk about that one, because
I mean,
I
no,
believe in it.
like
But then
self-care.
also,
The reason why I ask is because, like for example, like I'm a teacher, and it's just in our profession, like in the work that we do, we give a lot to our work, our student, and so we kind of always have to try and find that balance, right? I know in our culture, people are like, oh, well, I'm not self-care. There's no self-care because, it's just about the collective. It's about your ainga, it's your family, you put yourself last, right? That's just how it is with us. But, but we shall have another conversation next time, I can see you're about to
for sure.
put jewels on me. You're about to drop the bomb, and I'm like, not tonight, brother, not tonight.
Yeah. Definitely for the next one, for sure.
For real. Just quickly, superhero, who would you be?
Batman.
Oh,
Yeah,
hey.
Batman.
Okay.
Batman's more down my avenue, yeah.
Oy, sorry about it. So like suit by day, villain, but he's not a villain. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I guess I have a lot of questions, but I'm gonna save that for next time, because there will be a next time, brother. Definitely gonna have to bring you back on. I can't wait to see kind of your journey and how it's going to evolve from here. What kind of like advice would you give, I guess, to young people, just to our listeners and viewers, general life advice? I mean, I know I've really stolen a lot of your things already from the book, all these gems and jewels that you've gotten here. But I guess in terms of, I don't know, what message or encouragement do you have for just people who are listening?
Yeah, it's just gotta shoot your shot, like I know that's always in the context of hitting someone up, but I think that same quote's relevant to just life in general. Like I think we're just a lot of self-doubt and second guess, but I think what we tend to like exclude from our decision-making process is our sixth sense, is our spirituality. And it doesn't have to be anything religious, but I think we know deep down in our soul, if you're supposed to start up a cupcake business, or you're supposed to start a truck and trailer business, or write books, or do what you're doing, then I'm a big believer, especially through digital discipline and Chief Book series, that that God, or in other people's cases, the universe, will provide the resource for you to do it. It's just like fog, eh? You can't see what's in 10 meters, but you have to take a few steps, and then it starts to clear, and then starts to clear even more as you walk forward. But I think we want to see what's in chapter 20 when we're only in chapter 2, so it doesn't work like that. So that's my little fast forward for tonight.
That's the mic drop, people. Mic drop right there. Damn, I didn't have my mic on me right now. Pencil drop. But bro, I just again, I just want to shout out this book. Please, I'm not begging you. I'm just saying, yo, it's going to be worth your while. You know, support my brother here, Tony Laulu from Auckland. Whoop, whoop. Currently living out West Auckland. Yeah, West Side in the house. But Chief Book Series. Is it chiefbookseries.com or .co.nz?
.com.
chiefbookseries.com. Fam, people, listeners, viewers, support a brother, man. You can find him on Instagram. I mean, we're going to put your information in the bio.
Appreciate it.
And, you know, I appreciate you, bro. Like, I know, like, it's like, it's after midnight in New Zealand. But I appreciate you coming here and doing this with me. I know you're busy. But there will be a part 2 to this, fam. So stay tuned. Stick into my Instagram because no shame. I'm going to be promoting. I continue promoting our Samoan authors hardcore. So please buy this book. Check out Digital Discipline. What's your? Is it you do have a website? Is it .co.nz?
That one's .co.nz. Yep.
.co.nz, people, Digital Discipline, wherever you are in the world, man. Our brother here's got loads of jewels to share with you. Check out his amazing work in our communities back home in Auckland. Appreciate you, brother. You know, all the best, mad blessings as you continue on this journey. And I can't wait to catch up again so that you can tell me how you have evolved and grown some more on this path, this God-led path that you are on.
100%.
It's a wrap.
I appreciate you having me.